Part 59. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 581. Chapter 581 Graduation Gift. When Xia Ying returned home, she opened the door and suddenly saw colorful ribbons and balloons flying towards her. Then, Luo Xian and the others jumped in front of Xia Ying, laughing in unison and said to Xia Ying, "Happy graduation!" Xia Ying was stunned for 2 seconds, and when she came to her senses, she couldn't help but grin. "Thanks." Xia Ying walked into the home and found that the entire home had been decorated very beautifully. There was also a banner hanging in the center of the living room that read, "Happy graduation to Xia Ying." Xia Ying looked at Luo Xian and the others' little care, and a warm current surged through her heart. With a touching smile in his eyes, he looked at everyone and said, "Thank you all." Xia Ying glanced at everyone and suddenly realized that someone was missing. "Where is Yu Lingfeng?" Xia Ying asked. "I'm here." At this time, Yu Lingfeng's voice sounded from behind Xia Ying. "Sakura comes." Xia Ying covered her mouth and looked at the bouquet of flowers in Yu Lingfeng's hand in surprise. Chu Shenxiu snorted twice behind Xia Ying. "I said that I just finished dressing up and suddenly disappeared. It turned out that I went to buy flowers. This is for you, happy graduation." Yu Lingfeng handed the bouquet to Xia Ying, and Xia Ying took it with a happy smile on her face. "Why are everyone so warm today? It makes me feel embarrassed." Xia Ying buried her face in the bouquet and took a deep breath. The clear and elegant fragrance immediately surrounded Xia Ying. Chu Shenxiu had teased Yu Lingfeng before, saying that Yu Lingfeng was not romantic at all and had never sent Xia Ying roses. So Yu Lingfeng remembered that when everyone was preparing graduation gifts for Xia Ying today, Yu Lingfeng thought of roses. "Cousin Sakura, you are no longer a high school student from today on." Chu Shenxiu said with a smile, "My cousin Xia Ying has become a big girl all of a sudden." "Yeah, time flies so fast." Luo Xian also sighed with emotion. "By the way, why hasn't Dad come over yet?" Xia Ying asked Luo Xindao. "Yesterday, Xia Chuanhai called Xia Ying and told her that he would be back, but he has not been seen yet." "Wait a minute, I'll call him, he should be on the way." Luo Xian said, walking aside to call Xia Chuanhai. Chu Shenming walked towards Xia Ying. He didn't know what to give, and he didn't know what girls liked. Therefore, Chu Shenming thought about it again and decided that it would be better to give him food. Anyway, Xia Ying also likes snacks. Chu Shenming directly handed a large box of snacks to Xia Ying and explained, "This is a snack I designed for you. It has an optimized taste and improved nutrition. It is not easy to gain weight." "Wow, thank you 12th cousin." Xia Ying happily accepted the gift from Chu Shenming. When she opened it, she saw a variety of snacks that Xia Ying liked. Xia Ying was almost drooling just looking at them. "Huh, it's not fair, if one of you gives flowers and the other gives snacks, doesn't my gift seem very low?" Chu Shenxiu complained from the side. "What's your gift?" Xia Ying was made curious by Chu Shenxiu. "For it." Chu Shenxiu thought about it and said, "Forget it, he will have to send it out sooner or later." So he no longer concealed the entanglement, and silently took out the gift from behind his back. Everyone's eyes followed Chu Shenxiu's movements. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 582. Chapter 582 Recording File. At this time, Chu Shenxiu silently took out 2 movie coupons from behind his back. Chu Shenming and Yu Lingfeng looked at each other in confusion. Although they did not speak, they did not say anything. "Huh, what kind of movie is this?" Xia Ying took it and looked at it. "Brother love me again." "For it." When Xia Ying saw this outrageous name, she couldn't help but feel rows of crows flying above her head. "And it's still squawking." Chu Sensio lowered his head and explained weakly, "Actually, I just want to watch a movie with you." He hasn't been alone with Xia Ying for a long time. It was because Xia Ying had to prepare for the college entrance examination, so Chu Sensio couldn't disturb her. But now that Xia Ying was liberated, Chu Sensio wanted Xia Ying to accompany him to watch a movie like this. When Chu Sensio saw the introduction of this movie, he thought it was about him and Xia Ying. Although the brother in the movie is a national idol, he is not an idol, but he is still a very popular national hero, so he is almost the same. The sister and brother in the movie originally lived together in love with each other. Since the sister fell in love, the relationship with the brother has also faded. The elder brother told the younger sister that her boyfriend was not suitable for her. The younger sister didn't believe it, but the relationship with her brother was at loggerheads because of that man. In the end, the man cheated on her and the sister got into a car accident because of the man. The brother sacrificed his own heart to save his sister and transplanted it to her. When the sister woke up, she found that her brother had saved her, and she was extremely sad. At the end of the film, it was the sister crying in front of her brother's grave. Xia Ying casually browsed through the introduction on the internet, and there were all negative reviews from netizens. Such a mindless plot, this kind of movie, but people actually watch it. What exactly does Chu Sensio think? What on earth did she do wrong? How could she feel sorry for Chu Sensio? She wanted to watch such an eye-catching movie. Yu Lingfeng's face turned dark. Why did he feel that Chu Sensio had scolded him? After Luo Xian and Xia Chuanhai finished talking on the phone, they hung up the phone sweetly. Xia Chuanhai is already on the road and will be back soon, and when Xia Chuanhai comes back this time, he will completely return to his family. Luo Xian has forgiven him and plans to accept him completely. However, just as Luo Xian's mind was excited and cheering for the upcoming scene, her phone rang and someone sent her an email. It was still a file. Luo Xian looked at the unfamiliar account very suspiciously. The subject of the email was "Exciting things you won't want to miss." Luo Xian thought it was a virus, so she just ignored it. But the naming of the file made Luo Xian's heart beat faster, and his blood rushed to the top of his head. At this moment, Luo Xian had the illusion that he was dreaming or a nightmare. The name of the file is Xiaquan Seabed Recording. Luo Xian trembled her fingers and clicked to download the recording file. Immediately, a burst of women's lustful cries and men's heavy breathing came out. Not only that, the woman in the recording also called the other person's name coquettishly, "Chuanhai, please be gentle, you hurt me." When Luo Xian heard Xiao Yanhong's voice, her cell phone suddenly dropped to the ground in fright. Her whole body collapsed and she knelt on the ground, staring blankly at the quiet air around her. Xia Chuanhai and Xiao Yanhong, the two of them. Thanks to the little cuties Singkat, Marikrazi, and Yezian for their rewards. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 583. Chapter 583. I'm so disappointed in you. At the same time, while Xia Chuanhai was still driving on the road, he suddenly received an anonymous email. Xia Chuanhai didn't pay attention because he just wanted to go home and see Xia Ying and Luo Xian. I have been so busy during this period. Xia Chuanhai has not seen their mother and daughter for a long time, so she misses them very much. After arriving at Xia's house, Xia Chuanhai took out his mobile phone and looked at the email suspiciously. He originally planned to simply glance at it and ignore it, but unexpectedly, the title of the email surprised Xia Chuanhai. Luo Xian and Yan Chen's car. Shock picture. Yan Chen. When Xia Chuanhai saw this long-lost name, he couldn't help but think of the elegant young man in college who wore gold-rimmed glasses, always lived alone, and liked to write poems. At first, Xia Chuanhai and Yan Chen were good friends. Later, when he found out that Yan Chen also liked Luo Xian and kept writing love poems to Luo Xian, Xia Chuanhai became angry and broke off the friendship with Yan Chen in anger. Because in Xia Chuanhai's opinion, Yan Chen knew that he liked Luo Xian early on. No, the whole school should know it. However, as a good friend, Yan Chen secretly wrote love poems to the girl he liked, and Xia Chuanhai couldn't bear it, so the two broke off their friendship. Xia Chuanhai knew that Yan Chen had never stopped writing love poems to Luo Xian. Until the day Luo Xian accepted Xia Chuanhai, Luo Xian also received love poems from Yan Chen. But even after 4 years of writing love poems, Yan Chen still failed to win Luo Xian's heart. Xia Chuanhai heard from others that Yan Chen later went abroad to study and is still unmarried. Now, Xia Chuanhai looked at those photos, Luo Xian, who was disheveled and with blurred eyes, and Yan Chen, who was close to her and taking off her clothes. When Xia Chuanhai saw those photos, he felt great pain in his temples and veins on his neck throbbed with anger. Xia Chuanhai never thought that Yan Chen and Luo Xian would get together during his absence. So who is Luo Xian now? She cheated on Yan Chen and still wants to reconcile with him. What do you think he is? Spare tire? Xia Chuanhai clenched his fists tightly and strode towards the Xia family. When Xia Chuanhai entered the house, Luo Xian and the others were all in the living room. The home was originally decorated with great excitement, but everyone was sitting there lifelessly, with their heads bowed, without saying a word. Xia Ying was comforting Luo Xian. Luo Xian kept taking out tissues to wipe her tears, her shoulders shaking with anger. The moment Xia Chuanhai appeared, everyone looked at him. Not only that, everyone looked at Xia Chuanhai with deep resentment and disgust in their eyes. Xia Chuanhai himself also saw this. Xia Chuanhai walked towards Luo Xian. Chu Shenxiu suddenly stood up and stared at Xia Chuanhai with his eyes red with anger. He asked, "What else are you doing here? You still think you didn't hurt your aunt deeply enough?" Xia Chuanhai was confused when he was accused by Chu Shenxiu. "What did I do? How can you forget the good things you have done?" "Chuanhai, I am so disappointed in you." Luo Xian sobbed and said, "Xiao Ying and I always thought that you were framed by Xiao Yanhong, now it seems that you two are still entangled. I am really stupid, I still hope that you are pure, and I want to forgive you. I'm not feeling very well. I only have one chapter. I'll update the rest during the day or night. Don't wait. Good night." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 584. Chapter 584 Evidence. Xia Chuanhai suddenly became angry when he heard Luo Xian's groundless accusations. "Xiao Xian, you said that Xiao Yanhong and I are entangled? Are you calling the thief to catch the thief? What? You're still having fun with your old sweetheart Yan Chen?" Luo Xian opened her eyes wide in horror, looked at Xia Chuanhai in disbelief, and shouted angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about? Do you want to frame me for your own cheating? When have I ever betrayed you from beginning to end?" Xia Chuanhai sneered, "If you don't want others to know, you have to do nothing yourself." Xia Chuanhai now guessed that those photos were probably sent by Yan Chen. Yan Chen did not get Luo Xian when he was young, and now that he and Luo Xian were separated, he came to rob Luo Xian again. Moreover, it was at this juncture that Xia Chuanhai received such a picture. One can imagine what Yan Chen's intention was. He wanted to force him to abdicate. He wanted to be with Luo Xian. "Oh, I will also give you the sentence." Luo Xian sneered. She didn't know where Xia Chuanhai came from to accuse her and Yan Chen. Yan Chen had been pursuing her for so many years, but when had she ever done anything inappropriate with Yan Chen? What was their intention in framing her in front of juniors like them? On the other hand, Xia Chuanhai himself had a relationship with Xiao Yanhong when he was young and gave birth to a daughter. Luo Xian and Xia Ying were ready to forgive him for this unintentional mistake. As a result, Luo Xian only now discovered that Xia Chuanhai and Xiao Yanhong have always been inseparable, and they still maintain an ambiguous relationship until now. Since you like Xiao Yanhong, why do you come to ask her for favors? Does Xia Chuanhai feel very happy eating the food in the bowl and looking at the food in the pot? Do you think she really knows nothing? Etc. Xia Ying suddenly felt that something was not right. How could Luo Xian, who had been fine before, say that Xia Chuanhai and Xiao Yanhong were entangled, and Xia Chuanhai came over to accuse Luo Xian and Yan Chen of the ambiguity? Weren't they fine just now? Why did it suddenly become like this? Dad, Mom, can you calm down first? Xia Ying walked up to Xia Chuanhai and Luo Xian and acted as peacemaker. Although Xia Ying had doubted the relationship between Luo Xian and Yan Chen earlier, she was afraid that Yan Chen would be too good to Luo Xian and Luo Xian would be tempted by him. Moreover, Luo Xian went out with Yan Chen 3 times before, and once came back very late. Xia Ying had to think more, but based on Xia Ying's understanding of Luo Xian, how could Luo Xian do something like Yan Chen's car, tremble? Luo Xian is not that unstable person, Xia Ying can guarantee this. Dad, you said Mom cheated on her, do you have any evidence? Xia Ying said. She had just listened to the recording on Luo Xian's mobile phone, and 11 Ju also confirmed that the recording was not synthesized. Xia Chuanhai and Xiao Yanhong were the 2 people in the recording, and Xia Chuanhai could not deny this. Of course. As Xia Chuanhai spoke, he took out his mobile phone, clicked on the pictures, and handed it to Luo Xian with a dark face. Luo Xian was dumbfounded looking at those photos. Isn't this the photo of her being drugged last time and then being in the car with Yan Chen? Because her body was so hot, Luo Xian couldn't help but take off her clothes. Yan Chen kept helping her put on her coat to prevent her from tearing off her clothes. But this kind of capture looks like Yan Chen is her, and she looks like she is enjoying it. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 585. Chapter 585 The Truth. No, it's not like that, it's not like what you see. Looking at those highly metaphorical photos, Luo Xian explained, that day was the last time Yan Chen and I met. He said he wanted to see me again before going to England. I couldn't refuse, so I had to agree. But I didn't know later. Why, I felt very uncomfortable afterwards, and Yan Chen did stay with me, but he didn't look down on me, and when I got better, Yan Chen sent me home. How do you explain those photos? Luo Xian's words obviously didn't convince Xia Chuanhai. Can drinking coffee make someone look like this? Moreover, judging from the appearance in the photo, Yan Chen was simply Luo Xian's clothes. Xia Chuanhai could not accept Luo Xian's understatement. It's a matter of perspective. Yan Chen and I are innocent, Luo Xian continued. Yan Chen said that someone drugged me to harm me. I couldn't figure out who did it before and what the purpose was. Now I finally figured it out. The person who drugged me just wanted to frame me and Yan Chen, and took the opportunity to take these photos and send them to you to make you think there was some hidden secret between me and Yan Chen. Xia Chuanhai listened to Luo Xian's words and frowned, non-committal. Dad, since Mom has explained it clearly, you should explain to us your inexplicable recording. Xia Ying said, handed Luo Xian's phone to Xia Chuanhai, and clicked on the recording. When Xia Chuanhai heard the content of the recording, his lips trembled with fear, and beads of sweat broke out on his forehead. Xia Ying saw Xia Chuanhai's reaction, so she stopped the recording, and then asked, now, explain yourself. Xia Chuanhai looked at Luo Xian with a guilty look in his eyes, and Luo Xian could naturally tell it. Luo Xian sneered, "So, are you acquiescing now? Didn't you just say that you and Xiao Yanhong have not been in contact for a long time? So what does it mean now?" Xiao Chuanhai sighed, "I didn't betray you, but I'm afraid you won't believe me when I explain this matter." Xiao Chuanhai once socialized with an old client. The client was in a good mood that day and dragged him to drink with him. Xiao Chuanhai never drank much, so he got drunk in a few moments. However, Xiao Chuanhai was sent home by his assistant later, and for some reason, Xiao Yanhong actually appeared at the door of Xiao Chuanhai's house. What's even more interesting is that Xiao Yanhong deliberately dressed up like Luo Xian, and she dressed in Luo Xian style. Luo Xian has long straight hair, and Xiao Yanhong also deliberately wore a wig with long straight hair that day. Moreover, Xiao Yanhong also sprayed Luo Xian's favorite perfume. In the dark, it was easy to confuse her with Luo Xian if you didn't look carefully. Moreover, Xiao Chuanhai was still drunk at that time, and he hadn't seen Luo Xian for a long time, so he misjudged and thought it was Luo Xian standing in front of him. Moreover, Xiao Yanhong pretended to be Luo Xian and deliberately seduced her. He seduced Xiao Chuanhai, so the next scene happened. However, Xiao Chuanhai did not do anything inappropriate to Xiao Yanhong. He just looked at the woman in front of him for a long time and murmured something in a low voice. But Xiao Yanhong kept making dirty sounds in her mouth and kept tempting Xiao Chuanhai to touch her. It didn't take long for Xiao Chuanhai to realize that it was not Luo Xian, but Xiao Yanhong, so he sent her away, and Xiao Yanhong returned disappointed. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 586. Chapter 586, A Failed Strategy. After listening to Xiao Chuanhai's explanation, Luo Xian found it a bit incredible, but she still chose to believe it. Because this is such a coincidence, it is obvious that all this is Xiao Yanhong's trick. Luo Xian thought that the reason why Yan Chen came back to China to find her was probably because he was deceived and seduced by Xiao Yanhong. Luo, and Yan Chen, a person who had stayed in England for so long, could actually know what happened to their Xia family. Xiao Yanhong must have told him. After all, these matters of the Xia family are kept very secretive from the outside world, and there are very few people who know about it. Yan Chen is a poet-writer and has no network, so it is impossible for him to know about these things. There is only one possibility for all of this, it is the plan of that woman Xiao Yanhong. Xiao Yanhong recalled Yan Chen and asked Yan Chen to pursue Luo Xian, and also used despicable methods to make Luo Xian betray Xiao Chuanhai and record the evidence. At the same time, Xiao Yanhong also took advantage of Luo Xian's absence. He tried every means to climb into Xiao Chuanhai's bed. Finally, all these things were revealed to drive a wedge between Luo Xian and Xiao Chuanhai, who had finally repaired their relationship. This woman is really cruel. Let me tell you, Xiao Yanhong is a bit stupid, isn't she? Xia Ying suddenly touched her chin and said with deep meaning, it's obvious that her plan has failed. She has nothing to do with her father. Mom, you and Yan Chen are also innocent. Why would she put such obvious loopholes in the situation? Send me the so-called evidence. You mean, Xiao Yanhong did all this? Xiao Chuanhai asked after hearing what Xia Ying said. However, if you think about it carefully, except for that woman Xiao Yanhong, it seems that there is no other person. Certainly. Xia Ying said. Luo Xian on the side also nodded in agreement. Moreover, not only that, Xia Ying can even make a bold guess. The reason why Xiao Chuanhai and Luo Xian's relationship broke up in the previous life was definitely caused by Xiao Yanhong's use of similar means. At that time, Xia Menjian was still in the Xia family, and Xia Ying was tortured by Xia Menjian. At this time, Xiao Yanhong was also tortured by Luo Xian. At that time, Luo Xian thought Xiao Yanhong was a good best friend, so she was not at all defensive about her. Xiao Yanhong almost occupies the right place at the right time, so Xiao Yanhong's plan must have been successful in her last life. Both Luo Xian and Xia Chuanhai had given up on each other. Luo Xian had a stronger personality, and she loved Xia Chuanhai very much. In the end, she was disheartened and chose to commit suicide. Xia Chuanhai and Luo Xian's relationship had broken down during his lifetime. It is estimated that at the moment of Luo Xian's death, Xia Chuanhai thought Luo Xian had betrayed him. Of course, the same is true for himself. He and Luo Xian can no longer go back. When his relationship with Luo Xian was at its most tense, Xiao Yanhong was always by his side, acting as his confidant. Over time, Xia Chuanhai became easily moved by Xiao Yanhong's deception, and even felt that he was sorry for Xiao Yanhong and Xia Menjian's mother and daughter. Coupled with the superb acting skills of the Xiao family's mother and daughter, all kinds of gentleness and virtuousness are vividly performed. Luo Xian was no longer around. Xiao Yanhong could easily take Luo Xian's place by using some tricks. Xia Ying couldn't help but sigh when she thought of this. Fortunately, many things have changed in this life, and fortunately Xiao Yanhong's plan did not succeed. However, Xia Ying still couldn't understand why Xiao Yanhong insisted on implementing a failed plan. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 587. Chapter 587 Give me 100 million. At this time, Xia Chuanhai's phone rang. Xia Chuanhai looked at the unfamiliar number and then answered it. There was a malicious and slightly lazy greeting from the woman on the phone. Xia Chuanhai was stunned for a moment, and then looked at everyone in panic. Everyone quickly understood who made the call. I said, "Are you and your wife okay now?" After Xiao Yanhong finished speaking, she added a scary smile, which made Xia Chuanhai feel very uncomfortable. "Xiao Yanhong, are you interested? Do you think your despicable methods will be of any use? I tell you, you are just wishful thinking." Xia Chuanhai seemed a little excited. "Hey, judging from your tone, you probably just finished the quarrel, right? Ha 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 ha. Why are you laughing?" Xia Chuanhai was a little confused by Xiao Yanhong. They have already seen through this woman's plan. Why did she make such a phone call to show off her power? "Nothing, I'm just doing an experiment, Xia Chuanhai. Let me tell you, you and your wife trust each other very well, but the outside world doesn't think so. If I publish all this on the internet, what do you think the netizens will do? Especially Luo Xinha, she has a good reputation outside the house and has always been called a model of a famous lady. However, secretly, she not only cheated on her, but also had with people and cars, ha ha ha. You are really enough, I tell you, if you dare to say anything, I dare to take your life." Xia Chuanhai was still on the phone with Xiao Yanhong. Xia Ying and the others were startled when they heard this. "Send what?" Seeing Xia Chuanhai acting so fiercely, does Xiao Yanhong still want to post these things online? "My life is not valuable, but your daughter's life is quite valuable." "What do you mean? What else do you want to do to Sakura?" Xiao Yanhong's face darkened after hearing this, her brows furrowed, and she said, "Xia Chuanhai, are you really forgetful? Did you forget so quickly that you have a daughter?" Xia Chuanhai realized then that Xiao Yanhong was talking about Xia Menjian. "I tell you Xia Chuanhai, prepare 100 million for me and transfer it to my account, and I will destroy the negatives. Otherwise, not only will I publish these things, I will also send your daughter to a prostitute hospital. Finally tell the media what kind of father you are, Xia Chuanhai." Xia Chuanhai was very angry after hearing this, and the veins on his neck were beating. He suddenly understood why Xia Menjian became so vicious. With such a mother, how could she be better? Xiao Yanhong, I won't talk about other things about you, but Menjian is your daughter, and you are so cruel to her. Aren't you afraid of thunder? Xiao Yanhong sneered twice and said, It's thundering, I'm more afraid of being quartered by loan sharks. What's more, I gave you a daughter after all, so what's the matter if you give me a little money? Your Xia family has so much money, so 100 million is such a simple thing for you. Xiao Yanhong then said, I will send the account to you later also. If I don't receive the money before 12 o'clock tonight, you know what will happen. Xiao Yanhong hung up the phone. Although her original plan failed, now it seems that her plan B is not bad. Xiao Yanhong raised her lips and showed a cunning smile. I don't know whether Xia Menjian is dead or alive now. If that girl hadn't escaped, wouldn't she be able to enjoy the blessings with her now? Humph, what a dead girl with no luck. There will be an update tonight, what a scumbag. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 588. Chapter 588. It's time to settle accounts. After Xia Chuanhai hung up the phone, he was so angry that he clenched his hands into fists and the veins on his neck jumped. Xia Ying and the others looked at it and asked, what happened? That woman Xiao Yanhong went completely crazy for money. Not only did she threaten me with those things, but she also said she would sell Xia Menjian to a brothel if I didn't give her money. Tell me, how could there be such a vicious mother in this world? A person like her is not worthy of being a mother at all. Luo Xian felt very chilled when she heard this, especially for a mother who couldn't bear to see or hear the abuse of her own flesh and blood. And this Xiao Yanhong was actually her best friend. Luo Xian thought about it now, how blind did she have to be to treat such a person as a good friend? Although Xia Ying also disliked Xia Menjian, now that she heard Xiao Yanhong's words, Xia Ying couldn't help but pity Xia Menjian. It is really difficult for people who grow up in this kind of environment to get out of the mire and remain untainted. Xiao Yanhong was actually cruel to her own flesh and blood for money, she was worse than an animal. At this time, Xiao Yanhong's bank account was sent to Xia Chuanhai's mobile phone. Xia Chuanhai looked at the string of numbers and was about to transfer the funds, but Xia Ying stopped him. Dad, what are you going to do? Xia Ying asked. Of course I gave you money. This woman has gone crazy for money. If she doesn't get the money, she might do something. Xia Chuanhai sighed and said. However, Xia Ying stopped Xia Chuanhai, darkened her eyes, and then said, No, it is impossible for a person like her to let us go so easily. Since she has something in her hands, someone like her who is addicted to gambling, people will definitely use those excuses to threaten us for the rest of our lives. Then you mean not to give her money? Xia Chuanhai frowned and said, but if she doesn't give her money, if she really posts those things on the internet, Xia Menjian. Dad, don't worry about this, leave it to me. Since Xiao Yanhong came out to commit suicide on her own, Xia Ying should settle the accounts with her carefully. It was time for Xiao Yanhong to pay back the accounts of this life and the previous life. Sakura, don't get in touch with that kind of crazy woman, she will do anything for money. Xia Chuanhai looked nervous. He was afraid that something might happen if Xia Ying went to Xiao Yanhong alone. Don't worry, Dad, I won't let myself get hurt. Xiao Yanhong came to the door on her own this time, and I won't show mercy to her. Even though Xia Ying said this, Xia Chuanhai still didn't trust Xia Ying. She was afraid that a woman like Xiao Yanhong would go crazy and do anything, and he was afraid that Xia Ying would get hurt. Uncle Xia, don't worry. I will protect Xia Ying as long as I am here. Yu Lingfeng stepped forward and said to Xia Chuanhai. Xia Chuanhai saw that they were insisting on their own way, and it seemed that they would not listen to anything he said, so he didn't say anything more. However, Xia Chuanhai didn't seem to understand why Xia Ying had to do this by herself. Xia Ying asked 11 Ju to locate Xiao Yanhong's location. 11 Ju relied on the phone call Xiao Yanhong had just made to Xia Chuanhai to successfully locate Xiao Yanhong's exact location. Xiao Yanhong was still very close to their Xia family. It seemed that she had been secretly sneaking around in the dark. Observe them coming. Xia Ying tidied up and went out directly with Yu Lingfeng. Although he didn't take Chu Shenxiu with him, Chu Shenxiu secretly followed Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng not long after they left. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 589. Chapter 589. What do you want to do? At this time, Xiao Yanhong, who was comfortably lying on the sofa watching a variety show with the air conditioner blowing in the presidential suite of a luxury hotel, was not aware of the imminent danger. On the contrary, Xiao Yanhong has already begun to think about how she should spend her money after she has 100 million. She still owes 10 million usury, and she promised those people to pay them back tomorrow, even if it means paying back 10 million usury. Xiao Yanhong also has a huge sum of 90 million for her to spend. With 90 million, she would not have to worry about the rest of her life. Just thinking about it, Xiao Yanhong felt that life was wonderful and colorful. Xiao Yanhong turned on her mobile phone again and started to buy a series of luxury goods for herself online. Then she ordered takeout and lay peacefully in her presidential suite, enjoying everything for nothing. Services. Xia Menjian has left her for 2 years, and Xiao Yanhong has never thought about where Xia Menjian will go. Naturally, she never thought of looking for Xia Menjian. Having one less trouble and one less person to spend her money on is simply a great thing for Xia Yanhong. At this time, the doorbell rang. Xiao Yanhong thought her takeaway had arrived. When she opened the door, she saw Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng. With quick eyes and quick hands, Xiao Yanhong immediately closed the door again. What are these two people doing here? Xiao Yanhong suddenly started to panic. Isn't Xia Chuanhai reluctant to part with even a mere 100 million? Besides, why did he send the two children here? She has so many handles, and Xia Menjian, they don't know that she is no longer with Xia Menjian, so using Xia Menjian to threaten Xia Chuanhai is still useful. Just when Xiao Yanhong was immersed in her own thoughts, the door suddenly opened. Xiao Yanhong was so frightened that she collapsed on the sofa, and then looked at Xia Ying, whose eyes were murderous, and Yu Lingfeng, whose eyes were so cold as to freeze next to her. Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying were walking towards Xiao Yanhong. Xiao Yanhong subconsciously had a bad premonition, so she moved her lips and asked tentatively, "What do you want to do?" Xia Ying walked towards Xia Yanhong, with a half-smile on her face, which made Xiao Yanhong feel cold. How come this normally gentle and good-tempered girl now looks like a devil with horns on her head? Xiao Yanhong subconsciously shrank into the sofa, but she still pretended not to care. As Xia Ying approached, Xiao Yanhong suddenly picked up the landline phone beside her and threatened Xia Ying, "If you dare to take a step closer to me again, I will call the security downstairs and ask them to blast you out." Xia Ying twitched her lips, smiled, and then answered Xiao Yanhong, "What's wrong, are you afraid of something?" "What do I have to be afraid of? I tell you, you'd better prepare money for me quickly, otherwise, I will publish all those things on the internet." Xiao Yanhong threatened. "Oh, so what?" Xia Ying replied to her calmly, seemingly not affected by her words at all. Xiao Yanhong frowned and looked at Xia Ying in confusion. "What do you mean? Aren't you afraid that I will really do this?" At this time, Xia Ying suddenly took out a fruit knife, then quickly approached Xiao Yanhong, and fixed the fruit knife on the main artery of Xiao Yanhong's neck. The speed was so fast that Xiao Yanhong was completely caught off guard. Not only that, because of Xiao Ying's sudden behavior, Xiao Yanhong broke into a cold sweat and her whole body was trembling. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 590. Chapter 590. Do you want to kill people and silence them? What do you want to do? Let me tell you, the cameras in this hotel are very clear. If you kill me, you don't need to tell you what price you will pay, right? Although Xiao Yanhong had a tough talk, she was actually frightened inside. She was afraid that Xiao Ying would actually cut her aorta with a knife. It's only 100 million. Isn't it a drop in the bucket for your Xiao family? For a mere 100 million, you want to kill people and silence them. Xiao Yanhong sneered. Yes, 100 million is nothing to our Xiao family, but why should we throw 100 million to a person who is worse than a dog? Why does your mouth smell so bad, girl? Xiao Yanhong instantly became angry when Xiao Ying said this about her. He gritted his teeth and stared at Xiao Ying. I won't talk nonsense to you, Xiao Yanhong, where are the negatives? Xiao Ying said. The knife was a little closer to Xiao Yanhong's neck. Xiao Yanhong was adamant that Xiao Ying would not do anything to her. She raised her proud head and closed her mouth tightly, refusing to say anything. You didn't say so, Xiao Ying sneered twice, then slowly took out her mobile phone and waved it in front of Xiao Yanhong's eyes. Xiao Yanhong saw that the mobile phone number of the boss of the group of people who gave her loan sharks was clearly displayed in front of Xiao Ying's mobile phone screen. Her eyes widened in shock and she looked at Xiao Ying in disbelief. How did you know about him? What's your mobile phone number? How hard can it be to check your call history? Xiao Ying said disdainfully. Heh, so, what do you want to do? I've told them I'll pay them tomorrow and they won't do anything to me. Oh, really? But, what do you think they, people from the underworld, can do for money? Listening to Xiao Ying's sinister tone, Xiao Yanhong raised her eyes to meet Xiao Ying's sinister pupils, and her heartbeat suddenly became chaotic. What do you mean? If you don't hand over the negatives, I only need to make a phone call and these people will arrive immediately and make you suffer. Do you believe it? Xiao Yanhong's eyes became panicked, and she didn't even dare to look directly at Xiao Ying. You are so despicable. Xiao Yanhong understands that group of people, the kind of people who are gangsters and have simply lost their humanity. For money, they can really do anything. If Xiao Ying gave them enough money, they could eat Xiao Yanhong alive. What's more, they have always had a problem with Xiao Yanhong. They have owed them many years of loan sharking, and the compound interest has reached 10 million now. Xiao Yanhong had no choice but to come up with such a way to make money. Over the years, Xiao Yanhong has been living a life of debt collection by them. If she wins money, she pays it back. If she loses money, she tries her best to avoid them and begs for mercy, asking them to give her some grace time. They are loan sharks who hate Xiao Yanhong, who refuses to repay their debts and delays them again and again. If you make them anxious, it is common for them to chop off their hands and feet. Xiao Yan once witnessed an example of a person who owed loan sharks for a long time and refused to repay, and was eventually beaten to a disability. You say I'm despicable? Xiao Yanhong, do you still have the face? Xiao Ying sneered. Xiao Yanhong had no choice but to hand over the negatives to Xiao Ying. Where is my money? When will you give it to me? When Xiao Ying and Yu Lingfeng were about to leave, Xiao Yanhong hurriedly came over and asked. Xiao Ying turned around and looked at her coldly. What capital do you have to negotiate terms with me now? Why should I give you money? End of this chapter.